Hi everybody and welcome to this new lesson. In this lesson we will address the topic of searches, how to make your own customized searches, how to make like threat hunting. So before we go to the topics for rules and building blocks, like extracting custom properties or design or develop your own DSM, we want to first stress on the concept of searching and threat hunting inside QRadar. So as you can see on the screen, IBM QRadar is for incident response. Yes, if you refresh the screen, maybe you will get identify insider threats, protect critical data, secure the cloud, detect advanced threats. So we are here trying to understand the concept of how to do searches so you can detect advanced threats. If your rules, for example, that's currently configured inside your system is not sufficient to detect the threats, still you have the chance to do a historical search in your logs and discover some patterns or some threats, assuming that you have a good coverage for all the logs all the logs in your environment are covering your infrastructure. So you have let's say the different layers, starting from network logs, you have security logs, security devices logs, you have the OS logs, you have the database logs, you have the application logs. You have a complete coverage of logs. This is very important, complete coverage for your infrastructure. So if this is the case, you are your maturity level is very high, and don't worry about that your use cases is not yet at the maturity state, because if you master how to search, how to do threat hunting, you can develop use cases for such scenarios. So and actually this is the way that you need to follow to maintain your content content base in your QRadar system or any SIEM solution. You need to have some resources, not just as analysts, to some analysts to analyze the triggered offenses, but you need to have other guys, maybe the level 3, let's say engineering or threat hunters, who can dig into the logs and discover things of interest and turn them into another use cases and another rules. So let's log into the system, and we will go to either the log activity or the network activity and start doing some searches. So when you go to the log activity tab or the network activity tab, you will find by default something called quick filter. So here you can write your quick filter, and here is some good examples by the system itself, telling you that your search can be plain text. You can just write the word firewall or the firewall deny. Since it has a space, you have to put double quotes surrounding the word, the two words. You can use wildcards like this question mark, which represents one single character, or like two question marks for the character I and the character R. So this will give firewall without, and the asterisk will be a wildcard for the rest. Okay, you can use something more complex like this. Here it's searching for BICS and it's so and access to URL or deny UDP source and 10.100.100. asterisk. So you can see here mix and match between the and or logical operators, and because the and takes precedence over the or, if you need to change this default precedence, you need to surround the or operator and arguments with this parentheses. So let's try one of these things. So if we write here firewall and press search, okay, you will start. This is real time, so your messages, as you can see, the real time flow stop because no firewall is coming. Okay, so actually this is searching in the raw or the payload of this logs. So we cannot see here the payload. So we can change this actually if we go here in the search and edit this current search. This window will come. You can control the displayed fields, so we can come here and write payload and add it to our columns. So now the payload will be displayed, and as we said, because this firewall keyword is not available inside the payload, you will not see anything as of now. So to get rid of this filter, if you noticed here, you will see that the firewall keyword is applied in the quick filter. As soon as we wrote the keyword and press search, it's coming here. So even if we put another keyword like deny and press search, this will update the quick filter. So to get rid of the whole filter, we can clear the filter and things will start to come again, and you can see here the payload. So to see the content of any of these events, so we have to stop, and then we can hover the mouse here and you can see the payload. So to search for anything inside the payload, just for testing, we can take the word let's say the IP address. Actually, this is the IP address of the system itself. As you can see, 192.168.1.222. This is the system IP address, and all of these are internal system logs. That's why the payload contains a reporting device, which is the QRadar all-in-one console, as we know. So if I just write here the IP, okay, so it will display for me the logs. Okay, so if we press to continue now, so the logs will start coming because all the payload contains this. Okay, so as we see, writing any text can help us getting the any keyword. It's searching actually the payload, and we can get results very quick. Also, we can use the wildcard, so any IP in this range like /24 will come. So again, this will give us the same result. Okay, if you want to utilize the menu or the menu option or the wizard, so go to the edit search. Okay, and here you can apply whatever you want, and you can see here the filter that we just wrote is here. So it's a quick filter. So let's learn about how to utilize this wizard or this search page efficiently. So I'll start from the top. Here you can load whatever saved search that is being in the system or user defined before. You can load it, and you can load it by just highlighting and then press load, or show the AQL. And the AQL is advanced query language. We have a lesson for the AQL, so you can show the AQL as well. You can choose between basic search or advanced search if you want to show more parameters for your search. Like here in the basic search, you can see only real time for the time range, real time, last interval, recent specific interval. If you check the advanced search, you can see different use time range from query and so on. So you can write here your advanced search, which basically will be like an AQL query. So the advanced search query time will be extracted from here. So all the other options will be hidden because everything will be controlled by your advanced search. So continuing with the basic search, you have something called data accumulation. We'll talk about it. Then you have the columns. We already explained that whatever columns you want to be displayed in your in the log activity tab or the network activity tab, you can control from here. And there is something called the group by. It's related to the data accumulation. We'll talk about it shortly. And finally, your filter. So I will remove this filter. Okay, and let's get rid of all these logs that are unimportant, like the internal logs. So to do this, the nice thing about QRadar is that you can start writing here instead of displaying all things and keep looking. It will be hard for you, and it's common sense key attributes. So for example, I'm looking to exclude all the log sources that related to the internal system. So first, the attribute is a log source. So if I type here log then space, I'm not saving anything, I'm not memorizing anything in my mind, guys. So this is how I always address the QRadar interface. So I'm looking now to exclude anything related to the internal system events. So my attribute I'm looking for is log source. So I'm writing log source. You will see here this is irrelevant. So maybe log source type is relevant, but let's explore. We have log source indexed, and indexed here I will talk about the indexing in QRadar. It's very nice thing, and I will tell you why when we talk about it. So log source, and it turns out that this is what I'm looking for, because here I got all the list of log sources currently seen by the system. As I told you, I am already ingesting replay events. So some of them are ASA logs, some of them are Linux server, VPN concentrator, Linux server. So and there is system logs as well. So this is what I'm looking for. The operator I will choose is does not equal any of, because I need to exclude many things. If I scroll down, this is ASA. This is for sure things that I would like to see. There is anomaly detection. This is something I'm interested in. There is logs for the asset profiler. This is internal system log, so we can remove it. This is how the QRadar make asset profiling for your assets. So we don't need this. These are checkpoint logs, custom rule engine for the correlation events or for the events triggered from rules. Endpoint protection, this is okay. IBM, this is okay. By time you will just pinpoint these things very fast, but just for the purpose of explanation, I'm trying to show you how to, it's not taking too much time. So Microsoft DHCP, okay. So if you notice here, there is SIEM audit. So this is internal for auditing the user login, user logout. SIEM generic log, this is related to any unparsed logs. So we will keep this, guys, because we need to know about any logs that being unparsed. Search results, this relates to your search results, so we can leave this. System notification, we don't need this, and that's it. Don't forget to add the filter. Your task, don't just be in hurry and just come here and press search. Still, it's not applied, so you need to add this filter here and then press search. Okay, so now you can see here log source is not any of. You can see here, and I think we missed the health metric as well, so don't worry, you can return back and add it as well. So we'll come here, and again log source indexed does not equal any of, and this time I know it's health metric, so I will add it along with the others. So and then search, so you can see here log source is not any of and log source is not any of. So actually this is an AND condition between the two. So now after we applied the filter that excluded the audit events like the asset profiler events, the audit events, the system notifications, and also we added this filter to exclude the health metrics. We can start seeing now. I just initiated the script for injecting the logs. So now we can clearly see only the logs for our security devices, the log sources, not the external log sources, not internal system logs. And we can see here the payload. So this way you can construct the quick filter using the different attributes of the schema or the events, event fields that is being parsed and normalized by the QRadar using the search, edit search, as we just learned, and this is called a basic search that we did. And inside the search you can select the advanced search, which is similar to coming here and write advanced search, and this will give you the option to write an AQL statement. So the advanced search is nothing but to write an AQL, and we have a dedicated lesson for the AQL. And AQL, we can say that it is also helping in the threat hunting, but I prefer to put it in a separate lesson because it requires more attention, because it has like syntax, different ways of writing it. So the AQL we will address in a different lesson, but here we'll focus on the quick filter. So as we said, you can write any keyword in the payload of the logs and it should come to you, or you can go through the edit search and select the columns. You can load, as we said, a previous saved search, or and then you can select the time frame, leave it as streaming or real time, or recent, let's say 1 hour, or specific interval from 2. And this is very helpful if you are doing threat hunting, so you are suspecting that something happened, maybe some announcement about some attack in the field, the cybersecurity field, and you know that this has been there, like the attack is disclosed like 1 week ago, so you need to check the last week or so. Data accumulation, I'll talk about it shortly. And then the columns where you display the fields, we added here the payload. It's not available by default. And group by, I will talk about it. It's related to the data accumulation. And then here are the filters that we applied, and then you press search. If you want to save this search for future use, simply you can come here and save this criteria. So you can save this search. We can say non-system logs, for example, and I prefer to put a shortcut of my name at the beginning of any resource that I'm creating, so I can easily locate my resources within QRadar. So if it's a search, I put HMT for Hatem Mitwalli. You can put, if your name is Ahmad Sami, you can put ASM or whatever, ASY, and colon, and then the name of the resource. So you can locate searches, you can locate rules, all it's one naming convention you can make, or you can put the first 3 letters from your company name. So this can help you to identify your defined resources. And nice thing about QRadar that it has grouping. You can manage your resources by grouping them into different groups. So you can see here different groups, and you can even manage your the groups and create your own. So you can name it let's say HMT new group, HMT searches, okay, and then it will create a folder for you, and then you can come here and in the I think we need to make it again so this can be loaded with our group. So as I said, you can make the name like a non-system logs, and here you can see the group is now available, and I can select real time if I want this to be like an analyst view, or I can make it specific interval. I can include my quick searches, so from this button I can just locate the search without go to the search edit and load it, so it's available as a shortcut in quick searches. I can share with everyone, so anyone log in here, I'm logging as admin. If another one logged in like analyst 1, analyst 2, analyst 3, I can share between all the analysts. I can set as default, so as soon as I go to the log activity tab, this search is loaded quickly for me. This is a default search. And include in my dashboard, you can include in your dashboard if it contains a group, so a grouping. So you have some criteria that you in the columns, like I am grouping the results by let's say the log source. So this way the dashboard you can add it into a dashboard, because grouping allows to make a graph. You should group by something to have like X and Y, or have some some independent variable that you want to construct the graph around it. So since I did not do any grouping till now, it's not showing, or it's not allowing me to include in my dashboard. That's why non-group by searches cannot be added to the dashboard. So I press OK. So now it's saved and it's now the default. So if I go, for example, to any tab and return back to the log activity tab, so you can see it's loaded by default. Okay, so this is a very good way of locating your real logs, and also we can make the search for a specific log source. So if I want to search and filter the logs by specific log source type, I can come here and I can edit the search, same search. This is all the non-system logs. So I add a new filter along with the existing ones, or the current filters. I can add another filter, but this time instead of looking for log source, I will look for the log source type and operator equals, because I'm searching for a specific log source type. And here are the list of all the log sources supported by the QRadar system. So this time the menu option is displaying the supported log sources, not the ones in the environment. It's not like the case when we selected the log source. Remember guys, when we selected the log source attribute, here are the log sources seen in the environment. Okay, so this is helpful to select the log source seen in the environment. But when you select a log source types, these are things that are predefined, or the parsers are there in the QRadar system. So you are searching by this log source type. So here, for example, I can look for the Linux OS. So you can press the letter L in your keyboard and then start looking down. So here I have the Linux OS. I select it and add the filter. So it will be again an AND condition. So you can press search now, and you will get only the Linux logs, as you can see. And the nice thing about this, that you utilize the existing filter and you just added a new part to it. So it's like an on-the-fly filter. So your existing filter or the loaded filter is intact, and if, for example, I go anywhere and come back, you will just see the same old or saved filter. Okay, if you need to update, if you are satisfied with this result, or you want to let's say save a new criteria, you can do this. So you can make save criteria. If I just press OK now, it will be updated with the new filter, but let's make it like Linux logs. Instead of overriding, let's say this is a Linux logs, but this will not be default. I can load this from the quick searches and I can share it with everyone, and here I will put it in HMT searches. So guys, I'm trying to let you know how to organize the content that you are developing. This is very important because the typical implementation duration for SIEM solutions is not like 2-3 days. It can last for months. If you have a big implementation, you can stay 2, 3, 4, 6 months doing the implementation. You have a lot of rules to create, you have a lot of reports, a lot of content that you need to develop. So from day one, try to be organized, try to group everything and give naming convention. All of this should be planned ahead so you can have a healthy implementation and things are organized in a good fashion. Okay, so here I am saving the search. So now in the quick searches you can see the HMT. I can quickly pinpoint my resources. So I have now HMT non-system logs, and this is real-time streaming, and HMT Linux log. So now I can switch between the two. Okay, so here you can see the name of the search, or go to the original non-system logs. Okay, and yes, it's real-time events, but you can still select like 1 hour or so, and this will group or will show you in the last hour what's going on and the trend for this. So this graph is coming only when you select anything but not the real-time streaming. Okay, so now let's address the grouping. So I will just reset the search to be the normal one. Okay, with no with real-time streaming. So now I want to check these logs, but not in this row, let's say display. I need to like group the logs by the source type or by the log source. So this will give me some indication about which log source are giving the highest events. For example, as a threat hunting activity, I'm trying to understand which device is sending too much logs. Maybe some device is under attack, or it's flooded by logs. So I need to check this kind of thing. So this is called manual correlation. You are trying to group the logs by some attribute that will give you some indication as an analyst or as a threat hunting engineer. So we will come here and you will add this attribute, this interesting attribute, to the group by. Okay, so any column that you want to group, or any attributes that you want to group by, you have to remove it first from here. So for example, the log source, I need to group by the log source. So first I need to remove. So as soon as I return it back, it's no longer highlighted. Then I will put it here. But if you put it here, it will tell you a problem with the payload. See this, guys? The payload property cannot be added as column if grouping is specified. So this is some limitation in the QRadar. So you have to remove this one and then put back the log source. Okay, so doing that will allow us to make the grouping. And also you cannot group for real time. Actually we selected here the time range is real time. So the grouping, you have to specify some interval. So let's say so if I press search, it will tell you cannot real time streams cannot be grouped. So I have here to select, let's say, recent 1 hour. Okay, so now we are ready. We have a recent 1 hour. We have we removed the log source from the columns and added back in the group by. We removed the payload. We are ready now to make the search with grouping. So now you will get the this nice graphs showing here the events grouped by count. So you can see here the SIEM generic log DSM, and actually we will just learn about this in the parsing and the DSM development lesson. These are unknown log sources, and that's why I did not exclude it's internal system log, but it's reflecting a log source. It's not internal system log, actually, to correct myself. It's external log, but it's not recognized by the system, and the system is telling you that this log source I don't understand, and the event name is not unknown, is unknown for me as QRadar. So this is actually something interesting. As a threat hunting engineer, it's important to pinpoint something like this, so that your analysts are sitting just checking the offenses triggered by your rules. But as a threat hunting engineer, I need to tell that I have a risk here in my environment. I have like 29,000 events that are not recognized by the system, and these events could have important information. So I need to fix this, so I can talk to the QRadar administrator to check why these events are not parsed correctly. So this is one of the important let's say findings I just discovered by grouping my events by the log source. Here I can see the checkpoint firewall is coming next, the accept and the drop. This can help me as an analyst this time to establish a baseline about the amount of events per log source. So next day when I make the same search, the same group search, when I see, for example, that the checkpoint firewall comes at the bottom while the Linux come at the top, this may raise some questions in my mind, and I start to investigate. Maybe I found that the firewall has some problem, and or the logging is disabled on the firewall or something like this. Okay. So it's very nice. You can see here the table format for this table chart, and you have also a nice pie chart showing you the same thing. So you can quickly tell that 40% of your logs are actually unknown or not recognized by the system. It's a huge percentage. It's not good thing, and this should be fixed. The next coming the checkpoint, as seen here in the table, then the next coming checkpoint accept and then drop, and then the next screen, and so on. Here is a bar chart showing the same thing. So these guys are called group search. The group search you can turn into a time series. And here comes the concept of data accumulation. So what is time series? I need to see or I need to track some attribute over time. So I need to tell the QRadar system to track this attribute for this search. So I can come here and actually I will come here and select the time series. Okay. And here, when you select time series, you will select the value to graph first. The value to graph, which field you want to track over time for this search. So our search here is the non-system logs. Which field or which attribute you want to track. Since we are grouping by the log source, the log source attribute itself will not appear here. Actually, what is appearing here is the the y, like the log source is the x, okay, the log source is the x, but the y is the count, okay. For example, so do you want by default, this is what you selected or what's coming by default. So do you need to track the count, or do you need to track something else? So you can track the event count, it's similar to count, or event name, unique, low level category, or source IP, or whatever. So let's make it simple, like count, and I need to capture this time series data, and then you press save for the last hour. If you do this, this will open for you the same save criteria that we saw before, but this time it will allow you to include in your dashboards. Okay, so this time I will just give it a different name, because I don't want to override my default log activity filter when I come as an analyst or a threat hunting engineer to the log activity. I want to see the normal display of the events without grouping. Okay, so I again when saving, I will make a small change, like make it time series at the end, to just tell myself that this is for the dashboarding purposes. Okay, and again I will save it in the HMT searches. So now I will remove set as default. I will include in my quick searches, it's fine, and share with everyone, and include in my dashboard. Okay, so here you can see the time series start to show up. Okay, and if you go now into dashboards, actually we can open a new tab instead of losing this one, and by default the landing page is dashboard. I will come here and select new dashboard or any dashboard for this, and then add an item. So let's do a new dashboard. Let's say security overview. Okay, I can share with anybody. Okay, and then I will add item. Here the log activity, event searches, and if I scroll down, you will see my search non-system logs time series. It's coming here. Again, I need to display, I can display the time series here, so it's coming, and you can make it wider. So you can see here how the count is now accumulated over time, and it's giving me this nice view in the dashboard. If you go to the admin tab and check here accumulation, aggregate data management. So if you go here for the aggregated data view, sorry, for the time series, okay, and you search for let's say HMT. This is the nice thing about naming your resources with some keyword. So you can see it now. The system started to accumulating the data for this criteria, non-system logs. So it's counting the logs, the non-system logs grouped by the attribute of log source. So I'm keep tracking as an analyst or as a threat hunting engineer. I'm keep tracking of the count of my log sources, and this is important for me. I need every day in the morning to check how the count are progressing over the time. So this is good, and this is a data written. So time series is very nice, but don't use it too much, not to impact the system. As you can see, that aggregated data management allow you to disable, enable, and delete aggregate data view. So you can come here and enable this view or disable this view. It's currently running. Deleting cannot be undone. The history will be deleted. And actually this data accumulation helps us as well in the anomaly detection rules, as we will learn in the rules and the building block design lesson. Okay, so returning back, this is the data accumulation. Now the last part of this lesson, and it's more for the threat hunting topic. If you have some IOC and then and you want to search for it, we have menu options that includes plugins to double check the IOC in the X-Force exchange. So actually the X-Force exchange is nothing but it's the threat intelligence of IBM. It's very nice portal. I encourage you guys to check. So if you go and write IBM X-Force, over there you will see a lot of nice information about vulnerability, about IOCs. You can have a tour. Let's see here. So here it's telling you collections. This requires logins, like collections about some ABT groups or some attack groups or something you are tracking. You have public collections, you have groups, here malicious activities, profile, create and update your profile, manage, access the API, get an API to the system, to the X-Force to collect data. They have free API for getting public collections, and they have license API which can give you more insights. You can search here by application name, IP address. So X-Force is very nice. You can subscribe to their newsletter, then you will get updates. So there is a nice option to in the QRadar to I'll close this, to right click and then check this plugin options. Actually it will not be here because this is a grouping, as we just explained. This is just grouping count. So we have to return back to the log activity, and then we have to stop because I will not be able to investigate until I stop. And then I will come here, for example, to this IP. You see here, if you go here, you have more options, and then at the bottom plugin options, and then X-Force exchange lookup. So I can look up this IP in the X-Force. So it's nice plugin, so it's loaded quickly for you. This is the IP, and these are the details for that IP. So you can see here this host, the category for this URL is not found. Okay, categorization unsuspicious, application no known applications in United Kingdom, and this confirms the flag that we see here. It's United Kingdom. Also this IP, the who is record, so this is an old IP, so this gives me as an analyst good indication. It's not just an IP that's created yesterday to make something bad. If you log in, if you have an account, I think more information will show up for you. Okay guys, also as an analyst you have the options to filter. So you can say, is this one, if you are interested in this IP, so I can say filter on destination IP is this IP, or filter on destination IP is not, or filter on source or destination IP is. I can add a quick filter is, so any payload that contains this IP or does not contain this IP. False positive, we'll learn about this in the tuning lesson. View bus from if you have the QRM module where the configuration of your environment is updated into the system, then it can draw the path between the source and the destination. We don't have here a QRM, so this will not show up anything. What else we have in the menu option? view in DSM editor the whole log. We will talk about the DSM editor where you can develop DSM, and DSM is nothing but a parser that you want to configure, and actually this will be for the unknown logs, as we will learn in the DSM development lesson how to create a parser for these unknown logs. Okay, so nice options. You can see here more option, navigate, view by network, information, a lot of things like DNS lookup, who is lookup. So I can make who is lookup here for this IP, and it's contacting some external website and give you the who is lookup information. What else we have here? A port scan. If you have the vulnerability manager and it has a built-in scanner, so you can write port scan, you can search events, flows, connections, view topology again if you have the QRM module, run forensics discovery recovery if you have the forensics appliance and the packet capture appliances, you can use this things. So the menu options is something good for the analyst and can help you in threat hunting. So that's it for the customized searches and the threat hunting lesson. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and found it beneficial for you guys, and see you in the next lesson.